Welcome to Hashtime with Navguzi Chwanuka. This is a place where we help you unravel social constructs, discuss self-development in line with mental health, emotional well-being, and everything in between that directly or indirectly affects us in the millennial world around us. If you're hearing my voice for the first time and are the kind of person who is not scared of being a better version of yourself even if it requires you to contradict who you were 24 hours ago, consider this your virtual home. I'm your host, Navguzi Chwanuka, and I cannot wait to engage with you in the various conversations. In conversation with me today is Danze Edwin, or Danze as some may know him. He is a Ugandan digital marketer, content curator, television producer, gamer, creative, media personality, and a social media influencer. He prides in fatherhood and is confident it is one of the things he is doing right in his life. In this episode, I was shocked to learn that as early as 2011, Danze had already figured out the gimmicks of trading online, and this has since made him work with various reputable companies and brands in Uganda. He, however, opens us to the fact that there is a life beyond an online one we should be more careful about. As someone who has been active on social media for over a decade, he has witnessed himself transform into a more emotionally intelligent person when it comes to interacting with both friends and strangers. These kinds of transformation are the reason why you chose Hashtag with Navguzi Chwanuka. So let's get into it. Danze Dijan. Welcome to Hashtag with Navguzi Chwanuka. You're just going to say,
Yeah. I'm prepping the, what do they call it?
Vibe.
Yeah.
Tell us about who Danze is.
Danze is professionally a person in communication.
Before professionally.
Okay, normally. I think Danze is a very unique being who is still self-discovering. Danze is a very proud father.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it's one of my biggest achievements in life.
Oh.
I have failed in so many things, but I feel like I have evidence that I did something good here.
It's not a process though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I had a very complicated upbringing and relationship with my dad specifically. So I think because I have that template, I know what, when you're doing objectives and you have option A, it's easy. So I keep on ticking off the things that I know should be the right thing to do. Yeah, so that's my mantra in life right now. Other than that, I'm a fun-loving guy. I like movies. I love games. I'm very passionate about it. Yeah,
I saw you had an event.
Yeah.
Is it supposed to be called an event? Something that you had a design hub.
Oh yeah.
I was like, what? Gamers meet and what? What is this?
It's called Games and Politics. I figured the idea was the best way to teach gaming in Uganda is by bringing in the politics, because Uganda and politics, someone will name all the MPs for you and all those things, but it will be hard for me to name for you roads and all those things. But so when I got the games and merged it with the politics, I figured I'll be able to talk to the key stakeholders. Yeah. So I've been a gamer for a very long time. My parents hated that I was that.
I side-eye people all the time, really, is that the best thing? And then there is a whole event.
Hey. I've had a 2 months event, fully sponsored by a very amazing group of people. Fortunately, unfortunately, it's not Ugandan organizations, but at least they believed in the process, and it has allowed me to tap into Ugandan audiences.
Right.
And I'm sure you've heard of Raymond Malinga, all those people.
I've heard the name,
Disney.
but I don't
He's
know.
doing Disney right now. He's doing a production for Disney. First Ugandan to do that.
You don't say.
Yeah, so I feel like it was an opportunity for us to make those people heard. Yeah, that's another thing I really do in my free time. I make sure Ugandan stories are told accurately. And those people that are refusing to speak proud about themselves, I really push them a lot. Yeah, especially if they're my friends. Yeah.
And if they aren't?
If they aren't, it's quite hard for me to come and impose.
No, let me say you find something online, because you're really an online person. Let me say you find something online, this story needs to be told, and this person is not your friend. What happens?
I have a way, I call it my nagging strategy.
Nagging strategy.
Yeah, there's a guy who I think does amazing art. A brilliant graphics designer. Amazing. I've been following the guy's handle. But he's one of the people that I always say, why don't you post these things on Behance? Why don't you create a website somewhere there.
Yeah.
It would help you. Sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't. The other one is really is a young guy. It's called Ivan Chivuka.
Yeah.
But I think his brain is, I honestly don't know his age, but I know he's very mature for his age. I've worked on some really big projects with him. He's a gamer as well, but he's doing futuristic stuff now that I know 5 years from now are going to be a necessity. Things like NFT, which
a necessity with us in Uganda.
A necessity for Uganda, yeah. I like to relate him to myself back in 2011 when I was trying to do this digital marketing thing. But
2011.
My story just now is complicated. 2011.
Wow.
Yeah, because remember, back in the day, we had internet cafes.
Exactly.
The fact that internet cafes were there, I used to always ask myself, why the hell aren't people selling their stuff online? Yet I was seeing it online. Get it?
Wait, you were seeing some products online being sold? Yeah.
My first big break, and I always say this a lot, is I had a chance to, like, my parents really let me do what I wanted on campus. Before, they used to tell me you must do these subjects, you must be like your sisters are doing, like, because my sisters are on government sponsorship and what, and me, I wasn't the brightest person in the house, but they allowed me to do industrial and fine art, like you that thingy was saying. They gave me a chance to do so. I felt like I was really going to pass because it was easy. I was in my element, but I was so disappointed at the fact that the level at which I left high school was the level they tried to keep me at for a full year. I was still drawing on Manila. I was still painting the same paintings. I was still doing the same exact stuff. And when you feel like you want to really peak, but then they're holding you back, those things like really broke me. I eventually dropped out of that course completely. Whoa. I lost interest.
Did you complete first year?
Nah, I finished first year. I did all the way to third year. But
you went all the way to third year?
Yeah, but I was so dissatisfied. I wasn't like fulfilled in what I was doing.
Even until third year, there was nothing special?
There's not like to throw shadow in any way. The reason as why I feel like I gravitated towards communication was because they introduced something called advertising design and communication design at BIFA. And then they mixed us with College of Engineering, Design and Art and Technology. So I realized, you know what? There seems to be something new this side. I started to draw less, paint less, and then I realized the money was the other side, which was a big factor on campus. Because aside of being the guy who goes out and they'll buy for him things all the time, I was like, bruh, nah, I'm not doing this. You
had to shift tables, be a sponsor as well.
Yeah. So anyway, through art, I got a chance to design t-shirts for Sylvia Worry's fashion line.
How did you get there?
A series of fortunate events. I made friends with like a very nice guy called John. John has become a very good abstract painter. It's so weird. He was so horrible at art, but right now I've seen him exhibit in multiple places all over Africa and the world.
Whoa.
Yeah, trust me, I think it's because he persisted. Get it? Then another guy called Jovan. Jovan was the first live painter in the country, but he was young. He thought about that idea then. So Jovan Chiganda used to paint at events. So because we were very tight, we used to go and eat commando together, all those other things. Like we're nerds.
Yeah.
So Jovan had an opportunity to like meet one of Sylvia Worry's fashion designers. They introduced them, and since it was seemingly cheap labor but with great ideas, since they had highlighted us, Daudi Lumu had discovered me a long time ago back in that day. But I was like, man, that's not, I'm really grateful to God. So anyway, I got to join the fashion house. I designed t-shirts, but the ideas we felt like were so Western. So she told us to feel free and make this a Ugandan thing. So we figured African maps, Chikoyi, all those things. She loved it, gave us a chance and told us, maybe you guys can come and work with me every day of the week. I'll give you something small. So I began, that's how I got
every day of the week is 7 days a week?
Sunday till Sunday, every single day. Class thingy, you go and work in the evening or early morning and then class. But like I had already told you, I'd already burnt gas for class.
Right.
Most times, even if they told me the assignment is due the next morning, I would literally do it and it would just always be ready. So yeah, I ended up staying there for a minute. I started to really miss out on school. And yeah, eventually it just, one thing led to another, and I just decided to say, you know what, school, nah, I'm not doing this. Is not for me.
But this is third year. Is it like you left in the first semester?
I let go in second year, first sem. That's the honest truth. I was mentally not in class because I realized that Sylvia believed so much. Surprisingly, people just don't know this other thing about this lady, and most of the public figures out there is that the cliche of the norm was, this is a fashion designer who sells girls to be prostitutes and all those things.
Those stories are out there.
But to me, she was like a mother, honestly speaking. She was my mother at work. Sometimes she paid for my tuition. Yeah, sometimes.
Before you walked away.
Yeah. Like, she used to make sure I go to school. She insisted. But unfortunately, when you're young, the brain is just not, the priorities are just not.
And you touched money, my friend.
Exactly. That was the problem. They used to pay me 18K a day.
Wow.
18K a day. She would pay for the hostel. So she made sure at least mentally I'm there. Because I think she's a mother, you know. She knew I had parents somewhere who expected more from me.
Yeah.
So that's the version of Sylvia I have. Yeah, so through that, we realized we're struggling to sell clothes locally or to really spread out. And I said, but there's this thing called social media. Let's take photo shoots, put your stuff online so that we can sell to people who are not working in and around Garden City.
How did you land on social media? What could have been the first perception? Let me tell you something. I think I was in senior 1 and there was a girl who was probably in senior 5. She was, you know, those celebrity kids in schools. And you would hear stories like, can you imagine Lena is on High Five? Those things are for prostitutes. To date, I've never checked out High Five, right? And then, I don't know when, I heard about Facebook.
Yeah.
Then I think between senior 5 and senior 6, when I was in the new school, it was a punishment. You are found in the computer lab doing Facebooking. You are punished. Your names are read on the assembly. So tell me or tell us, what could have been your first encounter with social media? Was it from High Five to, is High Five? Were you aware of High Five?
I used to hear about it, High Five, MySpace, all those things. My first encounter with social media was a messaging board on a website called GameRevolution.com. Fondly remember it.
Had to be
I was in Budo, O-level, computer lab. We used to go and do this thing of looking for cheat codes on how to play the game better. Now, these websites would have so many people sharing this information and like talking back and forth on message boards. So that is my first interaction with social media.
O-level.
I didn't have a computer. I didn't have a phone. We didn't even have a computer at home.
I didn't know anything about searching something.
Exactly.
I just knew emails and then studying the keyboard, Mavis Beacon.
I didn't even know about. But at that point, I didn't even know about emails. Surprisingly, I used to hear people say pen pals and smanya what vichi. Nze nga I'm green. But beautiful thing is from that experience and the fact that our firstborn was abroad by that time in India studying. Like, I had to think about how to communicate to her, and internet was one of the ways. Then, fast forward, that time of me knowing about social media is because I'd understood that we can relay information online somehow and sell something before any training or anything. At least I knew that. So she made me her PA at that point, and at the same time, the go-to guy for like online stuff. She invested in me, they trained me. Some guy called Boaz Shani from Uganda back in the day. He's still here, but they were really big back in the day. He gave me some basic training. I understood how the thing is. And that foundation allowed me to be where I am now, at least when it comes to that kind of work of online. Yeah.
This person had already explored that kind of life, the online life.
Yeah, I would say yes. You know, like I told you earlier, my friends are interesting chaps. So at that point, I'm working with a guy called Danny Musumba, geek. He's a huge, like tech savvy guy. Another guy is called Ken Mwale. Ken Mwale is a DJ at this point. Ken Mwale is called Dark Meme at this point. That's the name he decides to go for. And Ken Mwale is playing electronic house music at that point. So his crowd is Muzungus, DJs from the rest of the globe and all those things. So he's exposed to this kind of Western life. But of course, by assimilation, it also goes through. We are like sponges soaking in all these things. Yeah. So that's the kind of environment that this we put ourselves into. Oh yeah, and then I think it really became commercializable and made sense for me when African Woman went through that stage of print was going. The magazine was no longer big in print, but then it had to go online. So
you went as far as I am not even certain about its online existence. I just know the physical magazine.
It went online, but then the problem is Uganda at that time wasn't ready for that.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, how were you thinking about selling online in 2011?
It suffered. It suffered. And that was one of the most painful things to see such a brand like disappear. Yeah. But by the time we went online, we found that there had been a new African Woman magazine that had already been created online.
No.
So someone was already like 10 steps ahead of us.
Not in Uganda though?
No, South Africa. Yeah.
African Woman. Okay. And then Twitter.
Oh yeah, then Twitter.
Because, I'm surprised when I see people's accounts and they've been there since 2009. I'm like, wait, no, how?
When it opened in 2009, I think it's DJ Caesar, one of my friends. I say, me, 2011 is when I opened my Twitter account. But I was there because I just knew about it. But it's not the Twitter of today. It used to be a place of knowledge and sense. Trust me. Now it's just now it's just a jungle. Now it's a crazy. It's a madhouse. There are very organized people on there and organized communities there, networks. But unfortunately, it's one of the best places that you're going to find all sorts of beings on this planet. Yeah. So that's how I got into Twitter, 2011. How
knowledgeable was it? How different? If you're looking at, had you joined Facebook already?
Yeah. I was a pro at Facebook at that point. My God.
By 2011, you were a pro.
It's okay. Surprisingly, and it's something I'm quite proud of right now. I have a friend called Marcus Muganza. It's a pity we fell out. But he was a go-getter very early on in life. So almost all the brands that you're seeing now that have solid foundations on social media, all the Nile Breweries accounts, all the Crown Beverages accounts, most hotels and others, I created their social media platforms back in the day. Because I was working for Marcus Muganza. Marcus was well networked. He knew all the marketing managers and what. So all those were accounts, like I used to sit down and I did them because they had gotten me from that same what I did at Sylvia Warrior, an African Woman. So I designed them, but now I see they are strong. They are really strong right now, but at least they allowed us to put them online. Right. Yeah.
And you're part of the foundation.
Yes. Facebook, almost all the beverage companies, I opened those pages for them.
Right.
Yet, I really wish I knew how to build those days. Most of the work I did for free.
Because you're new in the market.
Vibes and inshallah. Such a pity.
But now you're less active on Facebook.
Yeah.
What happened?
Now, I used to be on Facebook for relationship things. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. It was mainly this thing of I'm dating this person, we're on Facebook, we are, you know, when you're young, couple, I'm in a relationship with this person, we post our images, we tag, we poke, what, all those things.
Wow, there was poking.
Yeah, there was poking.
Why on earth was there poking?
Then messaging. Like I really like to like message and stuff.
Yeah.
And then class groups. We used to put them on Facebook.
Class groups.
I put one of the first Mercury groups there. It was called Bifa Class of something. So I created a Facebook group there so that our coursework could be stored on this platform. I figured it could be a nice place to keep stuff. And it worked for a while. It was me, Abu Mwesigwa, is now the presidential official photographer. My friend called Corey, she's a fashion designer. Korea House of Design. Luanga Emmanuel, amazing sculptor right now. He's doing almost all these sculptures you're seeing in and around Kampala. He's one of those guys. So to me, it was a place to commune and sort of engage people and have reckless fun, basically. Reckless fun, yeah.
And did you stop having the reckless fun when you walked away from Facebook?
Nah, not really. I maintained. Like it's basically just leaving Facebook. I left Facebook because I think it was something to do with some relationship stuff. I promise, it was some random stuff. So my profile. This
is how you were ghosting in your days.
As if. But it was this thing of, I'm on Facebook, I've broken up with this person, I have all this content there, everyone knew us. My Facebook used to be busy. But then I said, you know what? Surely, let me try something else. I stayed on Facebook as an administrator for pages of brands and celebrities and socialites, but just not me anymore. Yeah. So
how far back is this when you walked away?
I stopped really caring much about Facebook in 2014.
Whoa.
Not really like I don't care about it, but the way my life is on IG and Twitter that much. Imagine that version, but on Facebook. So 2014, I really gave up. I think, also because I got so busy with making sure the brand's account looked amazing and very good. It was really time consuming. It took away so much from me.
Right.
Yeah.
And when I met you in a training, you talked about yourself having been a troll on Twitter. But then you walked away from it. And it's the main reason why I felt like I need to talk to this person. Because there's so many trolls that you get to see, so many things that people do to each other, and they're relentless. So when I see someone who says, but I stopped, I wanted to know what it is. Okay, what inspired you? I don't know if there is an inspiration. What drove you to be a troll?
Man, I think I wouldn't want to blame society, but it has contributed. Because this is how I paint that portrait of myself back in the day. Like most times I sit back and I look at those photos and I'm like, this was maybe because of these reasons. Family of 7, 5 girls, 2 boys. I was the firstborn boy. So I have a kid bro.
Yeah.
I've gone to schools whereby, very good schools, Budo Junior, King's College, you name them. But the culture there has bullying, for example.
So advanced.
Has bullying, but not like, let's say, for example, in Budo, it felt like as if it was like what frat houses do in the US. They initiate you into doing certain things.
Yeah.
So, like, I found myself, the only time they punished me in Budo for bullying was when I think I slapped some kid for coming onto the basketball court. It was a weird thing. No, that was HSC, not even O-level. O-level, I think there's something about I cut some guy's hair. It was some weird thing. Yeah, trust me. Weird. It was just a weird, peculiar thing. So because of that culture, and because it was smiled upon within the student community, not administration, of course, it's subliminally, it gets into your head.
Yeah.
And then also the fact that I didn't have someone who would sit me down as a bigger brother or something to have these conversations with me. I wasn't that close with my dad in terms of conversation. He was just he's just a provider and making sure you go to these places and like a template. Most parents anyway are like that. And then most of the guidance I'm getting is just from my friends. And most of those friends are exactly like me. And also I consumed a lot of content, entertainment content, movies, what I would name for you all the movies of back in the day. So I used to consume a lot of that stuff. So it kind of preconditions you as a human being, especially if you're young, because you're a sponge. Now, we used to have this thing of, after leaving like Budo, for example, and I went to Ndeje, that's the first time I got punished. So when I got to Ndeje, I went to Ndeje after Budo. Sorry, I went to Nalia SS after Budo. Yeah, that was a culture shock, my God.
Wait, after Budo is like what? After O-level?
After O-level. I do 4 years in Budo. Then, like, I could have gone back to Budo, but man, I'd really become a silly boy. Trust me, I'd done so many silly things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they gave me an option of coming back to Bodo to do Luganda, agriculture. Basically, they just said they're going to just come and do fun. And they refused to give me art because they knew.
Why did they refuse to give you art?
It was a polite way of saying, dude, these are your options. So just chill. So I chill. I go to, I thought I was going to like Vienna and all those schools to get there. I knew. My man was saying, culture, you can't really just go to these other funny schools now. Nah. My dad is like, dude, I'm taking you to a school so that you study. He takes me to Nalia. I was under so much cultural shock.
What did you find there?
Disciplining. That's what I found there. My first day, I got 8 strokes of
First day
of reporting.
This is you bringing in your suitcases.
I bought my suitcases, everything else. My parents have gone. I'm in dorm. We're late.
Late for what?
We're late for supper or something like that.
Late for supper?
Something. Just know. They told me they're going to cane me. I'm like, are you serious? They're like, yes. They're going to cane you. I'm like, you're kidding. I've never been caned.
I've never been caned.
In school like that. So anyway, I get down. They give me my box, and I'm like, I'm actually really here now. It's a wrap. I go to the school. I was so humble. People didn't. I didn't change, but I was just so confined. I think I was creating safe spaces in my mind where I don't have to expose how I really feel because people are, this guy's from Budo or what, Bichi. They got all the stories from me. I had no OB or OG. All of them are either in St. Lawrence. I went back to Budo. Basically, I was isolated now. So I'm there, amazing grades. I was doing some physics, economics, some stuff. First time went really well. But unfortunately, went into holidays and and one of my friends from Budo joined. It's called Arthur. And that was it. We took over the school. It became a mess. They used to hear all these urban legends about us. Just now we became a myth in the school in just the second term. But then I was just not used to that kind of lifestyle of wearing a red shirt and a black trouser all the time, kneeling, punishment, weird stuff.
Weird.
That's why it was just weird. There's no phone to call people, nothing.
Like a booth?
No booth. It's just the teachers. But anyway, I got in touch with I didn't really choose the right kind of friends. I'm glad that all of them that I met in Nalia right now are okay. But at that point, our priority was not to study.
And the way how you say it that they're okay.
Our priority was to be the coolest guys in Nalia SS.
Wow.
First time I smoked weed. First time I drank alcohol in school.
Dude.
First time for everything. Because I had to take on the persona of the bad boy in school, in that specific school. So
and you were not scared of the canes after getting the 8 on the first day?
I got used to them. At that point, I'm used. I got my first official serious relationship in that school. The ones that I had in O-level, the differences were clearly there. This person was more mature. They used to hold me accountable. All those things you get.
Did you want to be held accountable when you wanted to be a bad boy?
Yeah, well, that was just a thing, man. Just know it. So I figured, like I started to realize that my mental blocks were beginning to crack slowly. Because now the expectation from my paps is this. My mom expects me to also do this, but the school also has this too much pressure on me to do this. They made sure as a prefect. They made sure as an information prefect. I just realized that I don't need this space anymore. I literally walked through the gate and walked out of the school and went back home. I walked out. Before exams, before everything, I just walked out and went home.
Which term is that?
Second term. I did that because I didn't want to do exams and to be promoted. But they insisted that I was going to be promoted and I was going to stay in that school. I went back home because I stayed home. I think my mom noticed there's something up with this guy. Because I came home, no symptoms, no sickness. I just told her, they told me I can come home. I was home for 2-3 days, 4 days. Hospital check, I'm fine. We're going back to school. I said, I'm going to go, but then I pretended I'm sick that night. I stayed an extra week home. So my mom drives me back to school. When I go back to school, like, it was never really the same again, ever.
What happened?
I just zoned out. I was not I just became so toxic. Just that's the best thing I can say. I just became toxic. I was dating somebody called Anita at that point. We broke up. I started dating somebody called Martha. Just when it became weird, I just became this guy of, let me do everything to get myself out of the school. The term ended. I chopped exams. I didn't do them. I refused to do exams. My parents don't even really know this stuff. I didn't refuse to do exams. I go back home. I got a letter of promotion to the next class. That's when I realized it.
Oh my goodness.
I'm trapped here.
No, wait, what?
I got promoted.
I thought you forged it.
No, I got promoted. That's the thing that broke the car. That's a moment when I realized it. I think my dad is friends with these guys and they're not going to let me go. So,
whoa.
It was that deep. That thing really messed with me. And I said, for the rest of my life, am I going to be, is this predestined now? So I told my mom, let's try something else. The option they gave me was Ndeje. I said, you know what? It's a big school. It has big culture. It's not this thing. I get in that car. I drive for so long. I get to Ndeje. My dad and the HM. I was like, oh, wow. Like, oh, wow. Really? I get in there. But I found so many. Of course, at that point, I've had to redo a class. So my friends are now in S6. I'm in S5. But at least they were there. So I was so happy to be there. So
that didn't really affect you? You were just like, at least these guys are here?
No, not really. Like, those things hadn't really got into my head yet. Because the thing is, by the time I got there, for some strange reason, it's like I always have a huge light around me. People used to always gravitate towards me. I really did well for that first year, that first term and second term. They read my name at school. I went up. My dad was very, very proud of me. That's the only thing I knew that used to connect us, school and grades, me and my dad. Nothing else. Nothing else. Grades. Once good grades.
No conversations, just grades.
I first hugged my father in 2018. Surprisingly.
That's how many years of your life?
Just no.
Without hugging your father?
Yeah, we used to just do this thing of, how are you? No. Good evening, good morning, good night.
What inspired the hug?
Intervention at the house. I think because the older they're getting, the closer they wanted to be to their kids. So we used to start doing family reunions. And the mandate is once you get there, no handshakes, hugs first. Hugs to welcome, hugs to leave.
And when you hugged him, what was it like?
It was weird, but it is what it is. So anyway, yeah.
We were talking about how or what could have inspired you to become the troll on Twitter. Yeah, so
I think I let things get to my head in so many situations. Like I'm now in this school, I'm really famous. Like the guy was talking about, everyone knew me. The teachers liked me because I was a straight A student.
Yeah.
The girls liked me as well.
Oh, you had to bring that in.
Yeah, I mean, I was class president. So I was class president, and things were going really well for me. So I figured almost everything I would do and say people would follow. Now, fast forward after high school, campus, I'm on the internet. We have few people on the internet. The movies I'm watching and the things that I'm doing, no one is telling me no. Most times, like, I would tweet something, I come and troll, laugh at you. I've literally just typed in the word Danze and the word trolled, and I'm still going.
Don't talk to strangers. Who was that?
It's just, it was a lot of content.
Someone just has to check the genre.
And then I'll troll. Like, some of them, because some of them are not that bad, I just leave them there. I like to remind myself of, this is
there are some that you put down.
Some I had to put down because I was really insensitive. Like, for instance, I remember that the thing that I'm not proud of the most was my friend Momo. He's called Momo Nyanzi. I was with him in Budo as ahead of him. I was in Form 3, or they were in S1. So he's abroad. And then on Twitter, he tweeted sometimes saying, man, this mental health thing can really disturb you.
Oh.
We were referring to someone who had taken their life. And then he commented saying, this mental health thing can really get to you. Now, me and a couple of my friends were like, dude, why would you take your own life? There's so much to live for. Blah, 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 blah. We really went full blast on the guy. Because he's our boy. And because of the culture against still, he showed this tough side of his, man, I know you guys are right, what bitchy. We told him, if you're unhappy, actually, we made a thread saying, if you're unhappy, couple of things to do. Play video games, go out and have fun, talk to babes. We listed many things.
Talk to babes.
That thread was silly, was stupid. Actually, the right word for it was a stupid thread. So, after a while, like you begin to grow, you begin to interact with people, and you realize you've gone through this stuff yourself. It has just never manifested physically.
Oh yeah.
So those are some of the reasons I used to troll, because I would find like my friends, I figure they can take it, just troll them online. Random strangers. There's a guy, a football fan from Oldham United. I'll never forget this. You know how football can get into people's heads? Ori. He's a football fan, and he lives in the UK. If me in Uganda, a football fan gets so attached to football, to teams that don't really know me, imagine what that person goes through. So I used to hound him with tweets. Every time that team would lose, I hound him with tweets. I laugh at him. You don't know this person? Nah, I used to ruin his day. Because there's a time he came at me because that team had beaten our team, Man United. Oh. So me, I made it my life's purpose to every single time stress him. I started to realize his responses become like numb, dull. So one time he sends me a DM and says, man, I'm not, I think let's call it a truce. I'm not really having a great time. My team is getting relegated and all those things. I laughed about it because I'm like, dude, it's just football. Again, that's another moment like I put down mentally and I wrote it down and I'm like, I could have handled that better. Right. Yeah. Then other times it's like close friends who post their images on Twitter just to feel good about themselves. But then you go there and troll and say, yeah, these clothes are annoying, these clothes are funny, these things are weird. And then I think where I really realized that this must stop is we used to have Ask a Tweep Tuesday, whereby we would ask people questions to get to know these tweeps. Yeah. Raymond, Kataha, Bewool, all these guys. As people were asking them, everyone was relying on me to get their funny looking pictures, their old snaps, basically embarrassing content. They knew it would come from me. So on those threads. And you had it? Always. Since I was an internet guy, so I knew where to search for it and get it. So those sessions would happen, then Danze would post an embarrassing picture. These sessions would happen, Danze would put an embarrassing thread or comment you made on some chick's post back in a day. So I did that for a while, and it was Ask a Tweep Tuesday, and it was me they were asking. So for the first time in a while, I realized I didn't want that picture on the internet. Oh. I wouldn't want someone to remind me of that. I don't want you to post my old relationship. You get it? So I got a taste of that medicine, and something inside said, this is banter, but this is not banter. Something inside is changing. So like I went back and I looked through these things and I started reading the body language from some of the messages. Then I checked some and I saw that I'd been blocked by certain people. Oh. I began to understand, no chamui sabovi. Get it? Like I started to do this thing of I reach out personally to these guys. We have a conversation. I'm like, oh man, you know what? I've been re-educated. I understand ABCD. Raymond Kataha at some point tweeted and said, Danze, I'm going to block you. I could have taken it as a joke that time, but it wasn't a joke, I'm sure. Get it? Because I know, based on the things that content he puts out there, is a person who is in touch with his inner self. So I really used to troll at people a lot. We used to do it in a group. It used to be the thing to do online. But because I began to expose myself to cultures, you begin to realize, man, this is not it, man. This is just not it. Now, when you talk about how you moved from your past and now you're a totally different person, it's interesting in a way that there are some people that are still tied on what they tweeted 10 years ago. And they are denied jobs. They are being told how they are not fit to be particular people. What do you think about that? We have to be held accountable. That's the unfortunate truth. I'm just going to show you, ask Kataha, the content that we used to post. You see, like I used to just get people's old pictures and post them, not knowing maybe they're in different relationships right now and all those things. You get
Oh my goodness, you are nice.
I used to really stress guys.
Yeah.
So the thing about the thing about what we post, and it's a tweet that I put out there sometime last year. I put it out and I said, the things that you've tweeted are going to be used against you at a job interview one day.
At a job interview
one day. Why I chose that word job interview is because people usually feel the effect of money. When they are touching their money, they feel the pinch. It's your livelihood, it's your future, it's your security. We have a rule at work right now, Next Media, whereby we say every time you tweet, remember you're representing the organization. So there are penalties you're going to face for putting the organization in a very bad light. You can't be misogynistic, you can't be gender insensitive, leave religion alone, don't talk about people's skin tones, the body shape, all those things. If you can avoid them, avoid them. Get it? Because every single customer, every single customer you have has about 20 friends who believe what you say.
Right.
So what you tell them about your brand is exactly what they're going to think about you, and it will never change their minds, no matter how good of a story you did. At Next Media, at NBS, I produced a show called Another Round. It's now no longer on air. It's run its course. We put out a billboard that had Guy and Marcus looking at a chick's ass as she's walking past her. Online, there was so much backlash. We honestly felt like there was nothing wrong with it at that point. So, because of toxicity, we said, fine, let's show them society's norms and flip it and make two girls looking at a guy walking up, which also happens in society.
Right.
But the point that flew over our heads was, because you're the industry leaders or because you're the public figures, do not promote an already existing vice. Get it? That thing it hurt one of my friends.
Do not promote an already existing vice.
Yes, I had so many feminist friends. I lost a friendship with them, almost all of them, because of that incident. But at that point, I just said, it's marketing, it's advertising. I need to do everything to make sure that my show is seen. Until it was the latter seasons where I began to say, you know what? Let's have opposite ideas come onto the show and people can dialogue. So they all started coming on the show. And people have begun to understand me. I won't say they understand me now, but most of my friends have begun to understand me. Right. Because of you show change through action. So back to that thing of people trolling people online and the things that we post and how we comment on stuff or posting people's things or bring up their old relationships. Is unfortunately I realized almost all the trolls, at least once or twice, I've seen them tweeting things, saying things are hard, or I'm not feeling today as jam. I get to see life lifes them. Inevitably. Life will life you and you will feel it. But I must say, not everyone gets an opportunity to change their mindset. You really, really, really need to be lucky enough to have gone through a cultural change. Re-education is very difficult. Changing someone's mindset to accept that women are not designed to just give birth. Or a small thing like there's this thing that they told me they told me at work, and I always challenged it. A couple of friends of mine at work say men are treated differently from women in any workspace, and I challenged it. I always say, my boss earns more than me. I've worked for women all the time. I always bring that thing up. But the problem is I'm basing it off my reality.
Your experiences only.
So I stopped arguing with that notion, and I began to learn to take people's opinions, consume them, and dialogue.
It's the same way how I used to always feel like, no, women don't cheat. They don't. Because now I was only looking at myself. And then I read stories of women defending why they cheat. And I was like, wait, what? There were like 11 stories. I was like, we are a mess.
You need to open your mind. That's the one thing I've learned to do. I was very confrontational. I was very tempered. Basically, all the things that had been, like the bricks that had been built, I had to take each and every one at a time, remove this brick so that I could easily walk through that path. Because it was impossible for me to accept certain things. Like It's one thing that haunts me a lot. Some very embarrassing moment in my family at home. My sisters refused me to do something, and I used profanity for the first time in the house.
Whoa.
My sisters laughed at me and said, "Oh, now you're so angry. You're even using profane words." Or they ridiculed me. They made me feel much worse.
Yeah.
At some point, I just had to apologize to them. I said, "I'm sorry, I did this." When I do this elsewhere, guys are like, "Hey, bad guy."
Bad guy.
They got me and turned me back down like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, you said something like, Ugandan stories had to be told correctly. What is it that you saw that was lacking for you to feel like Ugandan stories had to be told correctly?
I think it's my competitive nature, honestly speaking. I was presenting somewhere sometime, and I had a list of Ugandan media personalities alongside Kenyan East African media personalities. Yeah. Well, I had this graph. It had our Ugandan people and Kenyan East African guys. These Kenyan East African guys had so many followers and all those things. Our Ugandan guys were not like, if someone has 2 million followers, this person had like 4 point something. So after showing them that slide and talking about the reality of where we are, one of the people said, "But you know what? The penetration in Kenya and internet connection is big. So of course I expected to have bigger followers."
Yeah.
In my head, I'm like, what? I was so disappointed.
Yeah.
Because people had decided to have settled for less. So I told the people I was talking to that day that, you know what? It doesn't matter how many people are in Uganda. The world is quite big and the internet is not a closed space.
Right.
If we don't make as much noise about what we do locally, no one is going to do that for us. But we're very good at making noise for other people.
Oh, yes,
I'm sure you hear that Kenyans are very good at advertising, marketing, they're hardworking.
The bit of hardworking.
What are they saying about us? That's the thing I always try to bring out to people. And every time I'm doing on personal branding training, I did it yesterday at a media challenge. I told them, no one is going to make noise about you but you. You must start that conversation yourself. But because you have people that believe in you, even if it's a small society or a small circle, they will amplify it slowly. But if that thing that you're doing is so big, it's going to be picked on by bigger audiences and it will go crazy.
Right.
A friend of mine, Jordan, his tweet went crazy when he said a couple of years ago, his dad lost land. He joined law school to fight back for that land and go back.
Jordan is your friend?
Yeah, Jordan is my friend. He's one of those friends of mine that we have grown together and changed our perception somehow.
Yeah.
So that story got picked up by BBC, VOA. Everyone was picking it up. So I told Raymond, who is also our friend, Kosako Malinga, with him in Deje. I told him, Raymond, you saw how Jordan's tweet did? And Jordan is just a lawyer who did that. You're working for Disney. Do you know how important that is? He said, man, I don't like to show off. I feel like a snob.
Yeah.
I told him that's true. But there are so many young animators out there who need to hear this.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the rationale I always use. I always tell guys, you owe it to the people that believe in you to be heard and seen as much as possible. Like I sent you a text and I told you I feel so guilty for having stopped to draw.
Exactly, I was going to ask you.
Trust me, every single time I look at my drawings and I'm like, you're disrespectful to God, you guy. Yeah? You're disrespecting God, you're disrespecting your parents, you're disrespecting you. So that thing is, those things drive me to a fact that I've tested people who have pushed me and I've seen the results. Until recently, I hadn't decided on growing my networks. I'd always had the opportunities to do so, but I used to be held back by, people will think I'm showing off. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I told, Eugene, my brother, I also told him, it's a pity that you do that design week. You've done all these things. You've traveled to all these locations and you've kept it to yourself. Other young creatives out there deserve or have the right to know that these things are possible. Because in textbooks and these things, they're showing us Forbes top.
Exactly.
They're not showing us Uganda's top this. Get it? I always tell people to always make it smaller and smaller. Show me who the best illustrator is in Makerere.
Right.
Then show me who the best is in Uganda. Expand it to East Africa, then Africa. I'll understand how far I need to go. So those are the things that are really be at the back of my head almost all the time when I'm trying to push people, push themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And had you seen someone in art doing the best of themselves at the time you felt like Bifa wasn't it for you? Would you have stayed and kept on pushing your artsy self?
Kwizera inspired me. He inspires me still.
He inspired you at what point? When did you get to know him first?
Before I joined, I had heard about the people in the circles because my high school teacher told me I was drawing at an advanced stage.
Oh,
so he used to introduce me to what? To like the circles. I would go and I see what people are doing and I'm so fascinated.
He used to introduce you outside school.
Yeah, he really believed in me a lot because he was trying to venture in, because they weren't really making a lot of money then. He was trying to venture into architecture, but by drawing spaces and what. So I would draw pastel, but realism. I would do realism very well. So I would draw for someone a property, so it would help the architect be able to design. Something like that. I'd begun to do that. It's a pity that I stopped because
I've never heard of that.
I know, it was just it's such a pity, such a huge pity that I had to stop that because work became work. So because he introduced me to all those circles and elements, I figured by the time I joined Bifa, I must be in this person's circle, I must be friends with this guy, all those things. So I knew about Kwizera. I knew I was a very good illustrator, but I knew I was very, very good at illustrating as well. I just couldn't put it in color the way he used to do it. So his evolution in painting and water paints and all those things have really inspired me. They inspired me for a very long time. I think there's another guy called Luanga Emmanuel as well, sculpture.
I haven't heard of him.
Yeah, that's
at least I've seen Kwizera and I was like, whoa.
Now the Luanga thing also just perturbs me because he has a photographic memory. He can mold someone. He's seen them before, but he can put them into clay and metal and whatever it is.
So this is someone that could actually help us get culprits.
Yeah, forensics and all those things. You get
right.
He literally is a 3D modeler, but in real life. Oh God, I've forgotten the other guy's name, but he was also amazing at illustration. Now, those are people that I used to look at and wish that they would really spread their wings. Kwizera has done so. He has begun to do so. Hilary, the guy of Easy Wear, who does those he does something.
Hilary Art? I think I've seen Hilary Art somewhere. But I don't know if that's him.
Quiz Art.
I know Kwizera.
Hilary, I think I have some. His things are in so many people's houses. Those portraits that are as if. Let me see. I think Alinda posted it on her IG. He does these things like this. They come out like that, as if graphic or what, all those things.
Yeah.
So I used to look at those people and really get inspired. Daudi Lumu, right now is very big. He has big exhibitions. He's been traveled all over the world. Zenson, all these guys, I got a chance to interact with all of them early on in my life. So there are people I felt like their stories deserved a much bigger celebration. Unfortunately, I still believe they have not yet done. Daudi Lumu, yes, I believe so. Kwizera, yes, but Zenson was like the urban legend. And he deserved, or still deserves, a lot more recognition right now.
And should we hope for you to return to art?
I did. Do you know the guilt I got after that thing? I started sketching again. I've been sketching for a while.
No.
I'm so rusty. But the thing about that talent is it's always there.
Exactly.
And it's about consistency and practice. So it's something I want to do. There's a portrait in our house. Someone did a portrait of the wife. But she told me, you promised me to draw me one time.
Yeah.
It's been years, nothing has ever come out. I said, one day. Yeah,
and then here you are, you listened to Jumbo talking about you and
yeah, it just hit me in the gut. That thing was crazy. I sent it to my mom. She told me, Olava.
Oh, she did?
She told me, Olava. Nani kugamba. Then I said, mommy, time just jumped.
And what has been that moment in your life that you felt like I was not going to survive this mentally, but then you came out of it?
There have been a couple. I'm not even going to lie to you.
Yeah.
Embarrassingly though, let me even have a sip now. The most embarrassing thing about it is because I grew up with so many girls, I was extremely limited when it came to capacity in interacting with ladies.
Right.
There's a lady I was dating in Bodo. She was called Susan Imot. Very nice girl. But mentally I wasn't there, but I knew it was a norm. For you must have a girlfriend, as if. You must. That's how it is. So wow. I got into that situation. How we broke up was so silly. I switched schools, she switched schools. I didn't bother to say anything. I didn't say hi, I didn't say that later, nothing. The relationship just ended. You weren't interested in her maybe? Yeah. In the whole relationship? It just ended like that. Fast forward, O-level, again, Form 4. Man, I'm surrounded by kids who are from rich families. The clothes are amazing. I used to look at myself and I felt that inadequacy when it came to society and all those things. So I knew what I used to bring to the table was my brain and the fact that my dad is very well known in the education sector. But for them, some of them were smarter than me, were cooler than me. They had everything that I didn't have. So that inadequacy that I would face every single Saturday during roll call, when we used to have to line up and people are dressed in their best attire and me, I'm in some... What was the roll call about? Just make sure people are in school. But the culture was there. It would be a nice day for you to show off your cool sneakers. What? It was just a thing. Yeah, man. You just need to be exposed. It was a thing in Bodo. Saturdays. That's dangerous. Exactly. It was tormenting. That thing, VDs of sometimes my parents couldn't be able to come. And I would understand because I've grown up in the teachers. So you see these guys coming with cool cars, what bitchy they bought for these people, this grab and all those things. That pressure was a lot. I began to realize that as beginning to having to make side hustle, side money to be able to have additional things bought for me also. Wow. So that when I open my suitcase, I also have baked beans, bitchy, cornflakes and all those things. Small pressures. I began to realize these whole things are affecting me. Yeah. So I'd have... You realized it early? Early. I would have anxiety attacks of this chick is trying to talk to me, but I can't talk. Not because I'm shy, but I just couldn't express myself or reach the expectations she had of a conversation with a guy because she's used to other people that are exposed. During holidays, I have no way of going to hang out with them because we've been trying to stay in the house, read your books, play video games when your dad is coming, hide them. You get it? Those scenarios. Yeah. So these things used to keep me, I couldn't speak out, I couldn't be expressive and all those things. So that is earlier on. Later on in life, I'd never really been in a serious relationship that I would count as, what's the word? I think my relationship in first year to third year, when I broke bad, when I really became a bad boy, I was dating a very lovely lady. Yeah. She was dating me. You weren't dating her? I was there, but not really there. That's a sad. I was more interested in video games, partying. I was busy with Sylvia Worry things. I didn't really care about girls. Yeah, like they were there. Like I would have fun with them, but mainly my guys, man. I would never say let's go on a date. I would never say it's movie night. I would never say let's just spend that night. I would see people do that, but it was never going to be me. So by the time we broke up, she told me this one thing and said, dude, I feel like I'm 35 years old and for you, you're still 20 years old. And I feel like there's no passion, there's nothing in this relationship. I wasn't hurt by the breakup. I wasn't moved. I was waiting for the conversation to end. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. That thing, it's like God said, my guy, I remember that breakup was at Garden City rooftop, the playground. She left. I told my boys and by things are done between me and this lady. They're like, hey, Kali. Party. I moved on so fast. Now when I look back at the things she used to do and try to fight, give me hints of there's still chance and what? oblivious. He just moved on. And many girls have told me, Danze, you're so oblivious. I said, okay. Now, because I've gone through high society, fashion, culture, arts, which entertainment and all those things, I had met all the celebrities people have never met by that time. I began to realize, you know, that companionship is nice and all those things. I moved out of my parents' house. I'm now living with someone. He has a girlfriend. He's so mature. Like my best friend Roy, so mature, everything. And I'm like, no, Danze, you need to step up and be this guy now. They're like, oh, fine. So Iguana back in the day was a very big place. Iguana, like party, what? Corporates, young corporates. We go there, see these two ladies. I tell a guy, okay, for the first time, let me hit on a chick. Like
for the first time?
Yes, I'd never bothered. It used to just happen.
But then this, when you're saying, let me hit on this chick, was it for games? You were serious?
Kugezesa.
Oh, no.
Because I realized, because we had been having a conversation the previous day of, Danze, how have you started dating all these people you've been dating? And I just said, shit just happened. You get it? I'd never taken the initiative. So I try out this thing. When I talked to these ladies, they told me, we guys flipped the coin. Yet we didn't really flip the coin. I just approached them. I said, hi, what's up, bitch? Said some shit. They laughed. I said, do you want a drink? We bought a drink. We talk. Then like they decided to hang with us for the rest of the evening. But then it ended that day. We exchanged numbers. Again, like I said, I'm oblivious. It skipped my mind that I had her number. No. Actually, that night I sent her a message and she blew me off. And I'm like, I tried at least. 2 weeks later, I meet her friend. We are jazzing. Same interest, we're talking. This chick also comes by, like, hey, I gave you my number. I didn't even know me. I'm like, hey, sorry, Richie, I got the number again. I started dating this chick.
Yeah.
On dating this chick, I realized that, so this is how I should have treated the other lady, the chick of campus.
Oh.
Now, for some strange reason, I used to want to make good in this relationship, to make up for what had happened that time.
You just wanted to make up for what you had
and I got a mental fix. I realized that thing really bothered me. It stayed with me for so long that I wanted to make good, do all these things, everything. Like I would be a measure of what. I started talking to that chick again, like we used to be friends and all those things. But then this babe I'm with now started treating me like how I treated that chick. So then I think now God had balanced the equation and said, now, sir, you must experience this.
Yeah.
So I think we broke up over 4 times. That lady, break up, make up, break up, make up. But the breakups were horrific. So
this is you leaving and going back?
Not me, her, in this case. So I was going through what other girls used to go through with me. But I realized, you know what? This is now my weakness. When I give into something, I've really given in. So there's a time I walked from where we had met for a breakup back to Kulambiro.
You met to break up?
She called me. We met to break up. I felt that she had been cold and all that stuff. So I decided to talk, but then we ended up breaking up. So I walked from Tinda to Kulambiro on foot, thinking, in my head, discussing.
You weren't present.
I couldn't understand what the hell had just happened. I was just myself, what does she want? What haven't I done? All those things.
What haven't I done?
So I get back home. I sit down. I tell my boys, they're like, dude, you've tried, you guys. You've dated for 2 years, but you've broken up over 4 times. Just leave this thing. So I leave the thing. I tried to convince myself that I'm done. But of course, I wasn't really done. So that inadequacy began to creep in there. So that was my mental block. I never felt like I was better enough. Because the reason that's why we child was because of she gave me some reasons that were valid back then, but also were a bit childish for now, because we're young guys anyway. So that's when I began to feel these inadequacies. And it began to show in my work. It began to show in how I would like network with people. I would never get up to give a suggestion or direction of a strategy or campaign. I would always wait to play it safe. Always, that became my golden rule.
So that the inadequacy does not manifest.
Because the moments I would speak up to talk, for some strange reason, my brain would freeze and I would say the wrong thing. And I had very brutal bosses. Advertising world is very, very brutal. I was working at Fireworks Advertising. And if your strategy or your idea is rubbish, the client is not going to accept it and it's affecting the money for the company. So I used to play it safe all the time. If I'm playing football, I would prevent getting the ball so that I don't make a mistake.
Wow.
It like I've examined this thing so much, and I realized that was my problem. Oh, that is the problem that can easily manifest in me. So all those things, strategies, new relationships, like you really want to hug someone, but you're like, if I start hugging this person for 2 minutes, like for long, they'll get used to it, but then the days and I can't. You get it?
Right.
It began, that conflict began in me, and I realized that was my problem. Yeah.
And how did you come out of it? If you realized it, was that when you started realizing it, were there strategies that you started building for yourself to come out of it?
I think my best possible thing is, again, I would say, luck has a bit to do with it.
Yeah.
For some strange reason, that thing actually also makes you toxic in a way. I began to feel like because I'm inadequate, I would rub this thing on other people and also make them feel bad sometimes.
Ooh.
So the comments you make,
yes,
I say, Gamana, that's not cool enough. Yeah, those clothes are not, you get it? So all of us, we are the same, we're together.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, you don't actually know that you're doing it, but you're doing it. And it has happened even recently when I feel like I've had corrective measures put in place. Sometimes it creeps back in, and you say something to someone that will make them feel bad about themselves unintentionally.
Right.
So I put measures in place, like constantly telling myself, you can do this. I began working out at some point a lot. Like I would go in the mirror and say, dude, one more rep, one more push-up. You can do this. Like I would speak this into my reality, and it began to work. Most people can't. They need a support system. Unfortunately, my friends aren't that forgiving when it comes to, dude, pick yourself up and all those things. Very few people, like Eugene, for example, he can easily tell me, dude, you're really good at something, make sure you do it. But other friends were just going to joke about it, drink, play video games, do other things, nothing else. So I'd had to put myself in that situation. I felt like I was lagging behind so much.
Yeah.
So the hard work and being a workaholic kind of helped, but it was a bit dangerous. But I knew my limits. You can actually do this, put up your hand and speak now. You can learn guitar, you can learn to swim, you can lose this weight, you can do all these things. And because I was able to achieve those things, I taught myself not to feel less. So my other relationships became better. I knew that when I'm getting in here now, this person is going to get A, B, C, D, but I must discuss the expectations I have on my end as well.
Oh yes, it has to be two-way.
I used to get in and say, well, I hope this thing doesn't go south. Yeah.
And they talk about so much about how our inner worlds are reversed to us by the universe, something like that. So you're into the digital marketing. What do you feel like people might not really understand? There is something that I told you, and I think you looked at me like, what? I was like, I'm not putting in money anymore in adverts because it doesn't make sense why I have to invest in adverts, yet people are going to come onto the page, have 1,000 people liking your page, and when it comes to interaction, there is nothing. Maybe there is one person. I was like, no, I am not doing this. If people want to find the page, they are going to relate with the content.
Content is a good driver. That's the absolute truth. Same things I told people yesterday at the training at media. I was talking to young journalists yesterday, and I told them, your story, if it's a well-told story and it's emotional or it's attractive, it will hit home. But for brands, a product, a service, because Facebook has become a marketplace and a place for making money, I always tell people you must advertise so that they see your brand. If you advertise for a while and they saw your good content and I subscribed for the first time, I will always go back to check because I subscribed. YouTube model. Subscribe, like, comment. Now, the organic way to do it is if you, the personality that is holding this podcast, in this case, this one, if you had a huge, big following, it's easier for you to sell the product organically. Now, I'll use, let's say, Next Radio, for example. Actually, let me use the Afro Mobile app. If the Afro Mobile app has podcasts on it that, yes, I'm coming. So the only way Afro Mobile app is going to promote these podcasts that are on there is by advertising, because the social media platforms know that there are other options of Afro Mobile app. They must pay me some money to allow me to show them to their target audiences.
Right.
That's the sad reality of where we are right now in online advertising. You must invest $1 if you're a brand. But if you're a normal person, you may not. That's why you see people's accounts grow faster than brand accounts. Because for them, social media AI or the algorithm, like it said, doesn't expect value or income from them. Yeah.
Okay. And what words do you have for us as we sign out from this episode?
Well, everyone has a journey.
Yeah.
Everyone has a journey. Long, short, interrupted, or whatever it is. You must make sure that when, let's say, at the end of your journey, there is something people are going to remember you for. And every single footprint you're making leaves an actual impression. Like every time you put your foot down, there's an impression that's going to be made. There's a gentleman at work called Mark. We're having banter again.
Yeah.
Fun. Recently, even in my new age, on my new realization, we're having just a back and forth. We used to do this boo. No more jabs. Your shoe is not kawa. Your shoe is not kawa. Then the guy comes and tells me, okay, look at my car belt, it's on point. Like, that belt is on point, but my belt is better.
Yeah.
Progressive, humble banter. But unfortunately, the words that he told me stuck with me and said, because there's a point whereby someone said, by the way, your job is just to do this. It hurt him so much. It's not me who said it, someone else said it next to me. But because that person said it next to me, the projection came at me in full force. It is a work hour. This person is standing in front of me. I'm at my desk. My team is here with me. This person who said it is here. This person is letting off steam on me. Like he was so upset and said, you are tired of you making us feel bad. We are tired of you making us feel small. Me. Then I kept on saying, you know what? Because I've learned, like I do a lot of TED, and when I'm working out or jogging, I listen to like motivation and what. And the rule says is if someone has projected on you, first take it all in, give feedback. So I took it all in. I was so embarrassed. It was so weird. People kept on coming to say, this is not the right time, it's not the right space to do this. But I just told them, let him speak. He spoke. Then when he reached that point of he has nothing more to say, the anger, he has realized what he's doing is not the right thing, I told him, one, this gentleman said the comment, not me. Then he said, hey, but me, I had it was, at that point his mind has decided to do something different. But then I told him, you know what, because I want to take it on, I've taken the feedback, I told him I'm sorry, I apologize for everyone. So I told him, is there anything else bothering you besides what this person has just said? Then the guy said, you guys even gave me little marks during the other evaluation and all those things.
Whoa.
So things had been piling up for so long. And the projection was me. Then when I asked him, why have you insisted in not being me? He told me, because you are an influential person in this office.
Wow.
Then I said, I totally understand. Again, I apologized and I told him, at the end of that day, what you've said is your right and how you feel is important. Maybe the situation could have been different, but you've said it and I've understood. And I promised I will not make banter again when it comes to you. Until this day, we have not done so. Get it? Even if I see he wants to, and get it? But because we experienced that situation, we avoid it. But then he taught me one thing, and these are the words I had to go with. You must know what position you hold in society and the ripple effect of what you're going to do. Because someone is going to go online and someone is going to be abusing a child or abusing an old lady or spreading fake news. But then they'll ask you, but who are the authorities on this platform? Why aren't they correcting this mistake?
Right.
So that's the thing that I've learned of recent. Another thing on this journey of dealing with mental health and all those things and conflict resolution is, at some point it's going to be your fault regardless of it being your fault. So you must do things now or put measures in place that are going to prevent people from going over the rail.
Right.
Yeah. So if my trainees or interns are not coming to office, and then I found out because they can't afford rent or transport to work, I should have known that earlier, because I should have had the opportunity to sit down with them and understand them on a personal basis without vis-a-vis just work things, you get it?
Right.
Yeah, so that's the biggest lesson I've learned this year, at least.
It's beautiful. It's empowering.
Thank you.
Do people get in touch with you for digital marketing services?
Yeah.
You say something that shocked me. I don't know. Had I heard it before? There has to be a social media strategy.
It has to be a strategy.
That thing keeps hitting my head like, what? Strategy for social media.
There has to be a strategy for everything.
I've not taken time to read about it, but I keep reminding myself I need to check it out.
Yes.
So how do people get in touch with you?
Those that don't have my contact, it's social media. My accounts are very public, so someone can easily message me. But again, I'm also in training to learn how to deal with consultancy and all those things.
Right.
I know how to do it, but because of how the networks are expanding, I am also learning to deal with people's questions and all those things, because I've realized it doesn't matter how good you are at something. Someone has a specific need and you must respond to it very, very specifically.
Right.
And also I've learned not to bullshit people and all those things. It's a masterclass I've been taking.
Right.
But my social media, you can just at me on my social medias freely, or in my DM. If you have the number, feel free. And also, don't be this person who comes and says, hey, and you stop there. That's a huge turn off for me.
Thank you.
I need you to come and say, hello, what is it you want? And we move on. Don't say hey, because I'll ignore the hey. I'll just look at it and chill.
We don't have time. You're the first man for me to hear talking about this. I've already seen women like, really, you guys, get serious.
Yeah.
So Danze, thank you so much for sharing time with us.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
My takeaway from this episode is re-educate yourself. I think it's very interesting how 2 consecutive episodes have our guests asking us to do that. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Hashtime with Nabuguzi Chwanuka. If you loved what you heard, make sure you subscribe to Hashtime with Nabuguzi Chwanuka in your podcast platform of choice and share it with your friends, loved ones, and every other person who is affected by the millennial world around us. Also, feel free to share your insights about what connected with you on social media, and be sure to tag us. We are at Hashtime with Nabuguzi Chwanuka on Facebook and Instagram, and on Twitter, our handle is at HTNK Podcast. Follow us on all our platforms, and myself, I am Nabuguzi Chwanuka. If you have any suggestions, meaningful ones, I'm open to conversation. You can also reach us on our email. That is also applicable. htnkpodcast@gmail.com. I really look forward to hearing from you. Ciao! Let's meet in episode 73. But in the meantime, I implore you to re-educate yourself.